So today I'm going to go over A Nation of Immigrants, the essay that we read for homework, and I'm also going to go over the questions that we had to analyze. So the first question is, in the first paragraph, identify the thesis statement and is the writer for or against immigration? So the thesis statement is the one here that starts with while. I'm going to go ahead and just highlight it. While these arguments may seem valid to many, migrants enhance American life by bringing valuable technical knowledge and skills to our country, boosting social service funds, and creating jobs. So this part that is underlined are the reasons why the writer believes that migrants enhance American life. You can see that the majority of this part is the majority of the thesis. This is actually pro-immigration. So this writer believes that a nation of immigrants is a positive thing. This part in bold, although it is part of the thesis, it serves as a transition, right? So it says, while these arguments, meaning these arguments against immigration, while these arguments may seem valid to many, right? By using the word while, it's showing that I don't agree that these arguments seem valid, right? Actually, I agree that migrants enhance or make better American life. Okay, so that's the answer to number one. The writer is for immigration, right? Question number two, why does the writer include these sentences in the background information in paragraph one, and how do they relate to the thesis statement that follows? Well, these sentences in blue, I'm going to go ahead and put them in blue here. Let's see if I can do the same thing, just so we have an idea. And you'll notice that these sentences mainly talk about arguments against immigration. Many politicians and citizens oppose immigration because they argue that immigrants threaten American life, right? Many opponents fear that those who were not born. These are anti-immigration beliefs or arguments. Now, the second question is, how do they relate to the thesis statement? Well, actually, by putting the opponent's arguments in the introduction or saying why some people believe the opposite, I'm actually setting myself up to transition into my belief, right? So this is used just as background information to understand that this is a controversial argument. It doesn't just have one opinion or one side. And so it's worth discussing the other side and then going into what I truly believe. The rest of the essay you will also see is going to argue for this part in yellow and against this part in blue. Okay, question number three. In each body paragraph, the author starts off by introducing a counter-argument. A counter-argument is the opponent's argument, what the enemy believes, what the other people against you believe. So you were supposed to identify the counter-argument in each body paragraph. Let's go back and do that in another color. So the first one is here. One of the most popular cases against immigration is that foreigners pose a threat to the purity of the U.S., and it actually continues here where it says, in other words. In other words is used to explain something a little bit more clearly. In other words, migrants threaten the preservation of America the Great. These two sentences, I'm going to go ahead and put in green. They are the opposing argument. This is what people who are anti-immigration believe, or one argument that is from that side. For the second one, another accepted belief, right, introduces it, among many Americans against immigration is that foreigners abuse social services. Proponents of this idea believe that immigrants use more than what they deserve of government services such as welfare, medical, and food stamps. So again, this is two sentences introducing a second counter-argument or a second argument from the other side, the opponent side. And then in the third body paragraph, the most important argument among those opposing further immigration is that foreigners take U.S. jobs and cause unemployment. Many articles have been written that support this claim. Let's see. In the edition of Business Weekly, it posted that 62% of non-Blacks and 63% of Blacks agreed that new immigrants take jobs away from American workers. So this is actually 3 sentences here introducing the third counter argument or opponent's argument. Okay, so we've done number 3. Number 4 says, after the counter argument, the writer offers a rebuttal. A rebuttal is something that proves that a counter argument is false, right? So if you say, cherry pie is the best kind of pie, that is the counter argument because I don't agree. You believe that. And so I'm going to actually offer a rebuttal. I could say, many people say that, or many students say that cherry pie is the best kind of pie. However, these students clearly have not tried, coconut pie, for example. So a rebuttal is something that proves that it is, that the counter argument is false. And it's usually supported by argumentation or evidence, right? Now, my rebuttal probably wasn't very strong yet because I didn't give a lot of evidence that says why coconut pie is better, but hopefully I'll say that later. Okay, so getting back to the question. After the counter argument, now identify the rebuttal that the writer uses to prove that this is false. So your rebuttal is always going to come directly after the counter argument. So the counter argument here is in green, right? But here it says these beliefs are misguided, right? And are more likely attributed to illegal immigration. On the contrary, researchers have shown, okay? So all of this is going to be the rebuttal. We're going to put it in orange, okay? Similarly, in this paragraph, oops, I skipped one. Okay, here we see this is not a strong argument because America was founded by immigrants that enhanced this country, right? So again, we can see a rebuttal here that is speaking to this part in green. And in the last one, again, we see the counter argument in green. And this one offers a concession. It says, yes, this is a widely held idea, yet it is completely inaccurate, right? This is a very common type of rebuttal where it says, yes, many people believe this, right? Yes, this is a rumor that many people believe, but there is no truth. It is completely inaccurate, okay? So after the rebuttal, you'll notice that the paragraph goes on for a while longer. Everything that follows this paragraph is going to prove that your rebuttal in orange is true, right? So remember that the writer is pro-immigration. Their job is to convince the reader or persuade the reader that immigration is good for our country, that it enhances the US, right? So make sure that your body paragraphs are not mainly about the counter argument, but they are mainly about your rebuttal and proving why that is true, right? Okay, our next question, number 5, is now consider the writer's choice to include counter arguments. Why do you think the writer chooses to introduce a counter argument in each body paragraph and then offer a rebuttal? Why didn't he just leave the counter arguments out? Okay, so this is a really good question and something that students often ask. They say, why can't I just say my opinion and then continue to prove why my opinion is true? Why do I have to include this counter argument, right? Now, I hope that after you've thought about it a while, you've noticed that when you're in an argument or in a disagreement and you anticipate the other side's argument and you prove why it is false or you prove why it is true, that actually strengthens your argument, right? So if we just look at something from our own point of view, right, and we disregard the other side's argument, we're not showing the reader that we've thought about this problem from all angles, right? But by adding that counter argument in, we're seeing, yes, I know why you believe what you believe, but here's why you're wrong, right? And I think that makes a much more powerful argument in any case, but especially in an essay, Okay, so that's the answer to number 5, just to strengthen adding a counter argument and then adding a rebuttal to that counter argument actually strengthens your argument. Okay, our last question is question number 6. And these are the transitions that are very, very useful for organizing an essay, especially a persuasive essay. So I'm going to go over the answers here. While in this case is used to show contrast. Okay. Remember, it can also show that two things happen at the same time, but in this case, it's used to show contrast. And this is a very useful word when we're talking about persuasive essays, because we often show the counter argument and the rebuttal, right? So we can say, well, many people believe that this is actually false, right? Or that is not entirely true. In other words is also a really great word to use, and it is used to explain something in more simple terms, right? So it's not more academic. It's often in other words, it's often followed by kind of a simplified statement of the previous sentence. Although, similar to while, is also used to show a contrast, right? So again, we can say, although many people believe that immigration hurts the country, it actually, is very good for the economy to have immigrants. Moreover is a great word to add a similar point, especially if you use the word in addition a lot. Moreover is a great alternative that has the same meaning. This means that is kind of similar to in other words, right? It's used to explain, right? Again, it's used to explain something in simplified terms, right? On the contrary, you can probably guess from this word, is used to show contrast. And if you look back at those sentences, you can see. In addition, I hope you guys know at this point, is used to add a similar point, right? Yet, right, can have a couple of different meanings, but here it is a fanboys, and it is used to show contrast, right? In actuality is used to show the truth, okay? While, again, is used to show contrast, okay? And then lastly, in conclusion is used not to signal the final point of an essay, but to signal the end of an essay. So we can see in the paragraph that begins with in conclusion, the essay is summed up, right? Because it is the end of the essay that the author wants to sum up the main points and then get to a final thought. So I hope that helped you guys. I think this is a really great example essay to follow. Our essay is going to look very similar to this, except the good news is you don't have to write 3 body paragraphs. You only have to write 2. Okay. I hope that helped. If you guys have any questions about this essay, please feel free to reach out.